Records are being broken, and we're not even in conference play just yet.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Kalia Butler. Joined alongside me is my co-host, Sophia Jones. We're going to get into some standout performances from the NCAA. UCLA and UNC are set to match up tonight. We're going to preview that game as well as a look at the Unrivaled schedule. But first, we have to talk about two that stood out in the NCAA the most yesterday. Hannah Hidalgo and Audy Crooks. Hannah Hidalgo set Notre Dame scoring record and Division I steals record with 44 points and 16 steals. Audy Crooks set a program record with 43 points in just 20 minutes. Both of these women in the 40-point figure scoring. And as I said, we're not even at conference play yet. We're not even at the end of the season. They are just getting warmed up.
Exactly. And I'll start on Hannah. We already knew that she was one of the best two-way players in the NCAA, but to go out and have 16 steals, that's incredible. I know the point guard for the opposing team was just frustrated the entire night because she is such a tenacious on-ball defender. They beat Akron 85-58. So Hidalgo almost had half of her team's points as well. A lot of those just in getting the ball and going the other way. But she almost had a triple double too. She finished with 9 rebounds. So you talk about a player that was just everywhere on the floor. That's exactly what Hidalgo did yesterday for Notre Dame. I mean, and just breaking 2 records there is so impressive. And for Audy Crooks, 43 points in just 20 minutes is a level of efficiency that I think a lot of players would love to strive for. She was 18 of 23. Those are high percentage shots just right at the rim. A lot of credit to her teammates. Jada Williams, she finished with 10 assists, just feeding the ball to her inside. But Iowa State beat Valparaiso 97-50. So even though these were blowout games, you expect them to be blowouts and you expect your players to perform well. And those 2 girls just exceeded that expectation.
Yes, performed they did. Hannah Hidalgo actually broke the previous Notre Dame scoring record, which was 41 points. She had 44 points, but that record was held by Jewel Lloyd, a champion right now, by Jewel Lloyd and Ruth Riley. And when you think of Hannah Hidalgo, you also have to consider her size. She is only 5'6". We're thinking of the size of what the NCAA looks like right now, what the WNBA looks like right now. The average guard is a minimum of 5'10", 5'11". We have 6-foot guards. The fact that she is 5'6" and she is taking the ball from you, she's going out, converting on the other side. She is so quick. She's so difficult to defend, but also because she is so quick, it makes her such an intense defender too, because she knows how to just get at you, do it quickly, and it forces you to turn the ball over. 16 steals, that's actually insane. And the fact that you bring it up to, I know on the other side, the point guard had to be so frustrated because you can't even get into a rhythm or anything because Hannah Hidalgo is going to pick you up and you're not even concerned about getting into an offense at that point. You're more concerned about surpassing Hannah Hidalgo, and she was able to do that 16 times.
Yeah, I mean, the breakdown wasn't this way, but if you think about in a 4-quarter game, that's 4 steals a quarter.
Mhm.
That's such a high rate of just snatching the ball away. But you talk about Hannah Hidalgo and her size. She is, I guess, in the current, when you look at some of these WNBA point guards, she's a little bit smaller than them, but she uses her reach so well. So she's a lot of long limbs on that 5'6" frame, so she can really create space between her and her defender just through her arms, and that's enough to rattle, but also her quickness and her lateral speed, like an amazing just athlete to watch. And there's a reason why she's one of the favorites to be defensive player of the year.
No NBA or WNBA player has registered 40 plus points and 10 plus steals in a single game. The last college basketball player that was able to do that was Amy Patton for Northern Arizona back in 2012. So she is setting a new standard, not only for the Notre Dame program, but for herself. But some other standouts as well from yesterday. Aaliyah Chavez had 29 points in their Oklahoma's win against Kansas City, and Olivia Miles, 17 points, 11 assists, and 5 steals for TCU.
Yeah, for Aaliyah Chavez, there was a lot of overreaction going on after that UCLA game. Oklahoma, they lost that matchup. Aaliyah Chavez was in a bit of foul trouble, so she didn't really get an offensive rhythm much throughout the game, was a bit inefficient, which again is hard to enter a flow state when you're being subbed in and out so much because of foul trouble. So it's very positive to see that she was able to have this kind of bounce back, one of the most highly rated freshmen in the country. But with those 29 points, 9 of 13 field goals, but 7 of 10 3-pointers. So she was just connecting from the perimeter. All but 3 of her shots were inside the 3-point line. So you love to see that kind of efficiency from her early on. She finished with 2 blocks as well. So you can see that start to come around a little bit more for Chavez.
I mean, she's a hooper. There's no other way to put it. And we have to remember that Oklahoma right now is such a young team. It's basically like I said to you earlier, it's like babies leading babies. There are so many young players, so much young talent on this team that you have to give them time to develop. And as soon as a player has a singular bad game, and mind you, this is still early in the season, it's not even a bad game, but it's early in the season. Teams are still figuring out how to mesh with each other, especially ones that are filled with freshmen or just having a newer program. There's so much that goes into it besides just the on-court product. Everything needs to work itself out, and it will. And I'm glad because I think this is a good game for her to bounce back from having to go against when you're thinking of what she's been through before. This is a good game for her to bounce back, to give her self-confidence, knowing that she is capable of winning, of succeeding. And I think she can carry that in when they get to conference play. But to your point, a lot of people have really high standards for her, and people know that she is getting paid to be at these schools. And I think people maybe hone in on that a little bit too much when she is still incredibly young and just getting started. And if she's already pulling out 29-point performances, that is very impressive nonetheless.
Exactly. And it's still, I mean, it was another blowout for Oklahoma, but impressive regardless. Chavez, she played 33 minutes in that game, so 29 points in 33 minutes. Very efficient. So you see that starting to come around a little bit more, but Oklahoma is definitely going to need her so they can have that balance between the inside presence of Reagan Beers and then her on the perimeter, which if you're shooting 7 of 10 from the 3-point line, in any game against anyone. That's impressive. Some so yeah, but and then to the other player that you mentioned with Olivia Miles, 17 points, 11 assists, 5 steals to add that in 29 minutes. Another almost 100-point blowout for TCU. But like we said, this is what you want your players to do. And I like seeing Olivia Miles rack up those assists because it's those levels of execution and chemistry that you build with your teammates early on that matter when you start to face tougher competition.
Yeah, and you stole the words out of my mouth too. I felt like 11 assists was the main stat to look at, because we know that she came in to be a facilitator, and the team made it very clear that the offense was going to run through Olivia Miles the entirety of the season. So it's really positive to see that she's making that impact already since transferring. But after this, a really exciting matchup between number 11 North Carolina and number 3 UCLA. We'll preview that right after this. The holiday season is right around the corner, and that means it's time to get your home ready. Whether you need more seating for guests, cozy new linens, or fun serve wear for a holiday, hosting Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to help make your place shine. And the best part is you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long with up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. I recently upgraded my dining room chairs from Wayfair, and it completely transformed the room, especially ahead of Thanksgiving. Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com now to shop. Wayfair's Black Friday sale for up to 70% off. That's WAYFAIR.com. Sale ends December 7th. North Carolina and UCLA are going to be battling today. This is the last time these two teams met was back in 2018, where North Carolina won 83-49. North Carolina actually hold the edge over UCLA in their meetings, 6-4 in the all-time series. But we have expectations that this is going to be a completely different look for North Carolina compared to the other UCLA teams that they have seen. And Sophia, we've talked about UCLA almost every podcast so far. They are a very dominant team. They are a team to watch. They are full of very capable players from the guard position to the center position. What can we expect on the UCLA side tonight?
Well, first, you talk about that we've talked about them almost every single podcast, but something that I hold a lot of respect to is the fact that they've given us stuff to talk about because they're playing these high competition teams. When they played Oklahoma, Oklahoma was ranked number 6, and UNC is now number 11. So they're getting some good tests, and of course, we have to report about that. But excited to see how UCLA is going to grow from that Oklahoma win. It was a win. They looked pretty comfortable. It felt like in the second half, there wasn't really a time throughout the game that they were out of control. I think the main thing that I would be on a lookout for was seeing how they can better just refine that balance. It wasn't until the guards, or because their first option is always going to be Lauren Betts, but in that Oklahoma game, her and Reagan Beers essentially canceled each other out at that center position. So it wasn't until the guards started to get going a bit more that just everything clicked offensively and defensively for the team. But it's just about making those quicker decisions, especially when the ball gets down to Lauren Betts. At this point, you got to expect that there's going to be a lot of players sent towards you, either fully committing to the double or just stunt. But it's about her recognition in what moves either she wants to make going to the rim, or her recognition of what the players around her are going to do and just get the ball to them quick. So just refining that level of execution is what I'll be most interested to see if they can improve on this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm going to get into my analyst bag for a quick second. My keys for UCLA were kind of what you mentioned, is the paint presence, obviously, with Lauren Betts, but at the same time, just getting paint touches. As you mentioned, there's going to be a lot of defenders sent down to Lauren Betts. But what does that do? Create opportunities for her guards. And we've seen Lauren Betts be a really good facilitator at times. Well, she did get into a little bit of turnover trouble last time out. I think that's just going back to her remaining confident and being aware of how many bodies are going to be sent down to her now. But we saw how good the guard play was in the last time out as well for UCLA. So relying on them for some of the scoring as well. As you mentioned too, having a balanced scoring attack when we're looking at those UCLA players to watch. Lauren Betts, Kiki Rice, Gianna Neepkins, Gabriela Jaquez. That's essentially a starting lineup right there, and they can all score in double figures. So that's going to be key for them too, as well as rebounding. They're averaging about 50 boards per game, 35 of those being defensive rebounds per game, and that ranks top 12 nationally. So they have the size advantage there. They want to have to keep that size advantage to emphasize that rebounding so they can go out and run and gun.
Exactly. And UCLA runs the break really well. Everyone moves down the court at a very solid pace. They have a good kick ahead pass. Then, whenever Lauren Betts gets that seal right at the rim, they either get it to her right away, have a couple reverses, but you can tell they've practiced doing those full court transition cycles a good number of times.
Yes. And for the North Carolina side, they're a really defensive heavy team. They excel in perimeter defense. What can we expect from them today, Sophia?
Yeah, just how you mentioned just having that perimeter pressure out there. It kind of goes exactly against what we mentioned with a Lauren Betts down low and how do you really counteract that. But a lot of post defense starts on the perimeter when you think of ball pressure. If you're in someone's face, you're obstructing their vision and makes that entry pass a lot more difficult to get into the paint. So I think that could really go in North Carolina's favor. And then just seeing how this team comes around more. They're having injuries, players coming back from injuries. Their first two games of the season were blowout win against North Carolina Central and then Elon. So UCLA is a big jump in level of competition there. They did have an exhibition against South Carolina. So you sprinkle that in and it's still a good amount of, I guess, tests. But UCLA is one of those teams that you really have to be locked into the game plan for.
Absolutely. For North Carolina, too, some players to watch. Alyssa Ustby, she's an all ACC first team, all defensive team member, and a very proven rebounder. Rebounding is going to be key for North Carolina today as well, because they are a little bit more on the undersized end. And when you're thinking of having 6'7" Lauren Betts in there, who just literally has to grab up, barely even jump to get the rebound, you're going to need to put your booty on a body and box out today. Another player to watch out for is India Navarre. She also has a really strong defensive presence and ability to pressure the ball handler. Again, we talked about some of the interior pressure for UCLA as well, as you mentioned, but you bring up a really great point that the guards are the one who are feeding the bigs. So in order to get into the big, you got to get past that first defender, or at least try and get a better looking pass inside. So I think that's going to be really key for North Carolina today, and the help of some of those players. Sophia, who are some players to look out for on UNC on your side?
I would like to continue to watch what Renaya Kelly is going to do. She's making her way back from injury because she missed a lot of games last season with knee issues. So she's working towards steadily increasing those minutes. In the North Carolina's first game, she only played 5. In their second, 10. Who knows? Maybe we'll get 15 today if we're going based off of pattern recognition. But she would be a really big presence for North Carolina. Again, just another valuable person at that guard position. She started all her games last season, averaged just under 10 points. So she's going to be someone that you definitely want to come around and get incorporated to your offense to continue to have a chance this season. And I'll also throw in Nyla Brooks. She was a top 15 recruit for North Carolina. So the freshman forward has just been a pretty solid spark off of the bench for UNC, providing some great scoring. She's second on the team in points per game and leading the team actually in shot attempts. So she's going to come in, get her looks up. And again, having that forward in size, she will need to play on both ends of the ball today.
I think it's going to be an exciting matchup. As we mentioned, UCLA getting some really strong tests early on in the season. And we'll see, maybe there'll be a little bit of an upset with UNC, who's traveling to the West Coast to go ahead and face them. But stick around, because we are going to get into the Unrivaled schedule breakdown.
Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. Whether I'm grabbing food at my favorite local restaurant or heading to the gym, I'm still earning rewards. Built has made everyday life feel more rewarding, from your neighborhood to your travel plans. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use that link so that they know we sent you.
I know everybody's looking forward to Unrivaled now. We still have a couple more months till we get into it. They'll start play on January 5th, and that is going to run until March 4th when they play their championship game. Uh, the regular season is going to end at February 27th. But there are 8 teams that are playing this year, 2 new. So they've expanded to 56 game regular season, which are going to be exciting. And these games go by quick. They're 3v3 games, so they are fast paced, so you can fit a lot in there. Opening night games are going to be the Mist versus the Hive, Vinyl versus Laces, Lunar Owls versus Rose, Phantom versus Breeze. Sophia, what are you most looking forward to from opening night and just Unrivaled in general?
Yeah, I do. I mean, more basketball, love that. That's never a bad
Love
thing.
it.
So, I'm glad that they expanded the regular season because, again, they added those 2 new teams, so there are 8 in total, and with that regular season, or that game total expansion, it's starting a lot earlier this year, January 5th. That's right after the New Year, so that's exciting in itself. But those opening nights games are gonna be incredible. I think Breeze is definitely gonna be one of the main polls for that day. Everyone's trying to get a look at that team with Paige Bueckers, Rickea Jackson, Dom Malonga, Ari McDonald, Kay Martin, and Cameron Brink. So it'll be interesting to see them get their first test against Phantom, who is a little bit more of not as veteran, but that kind of mid-20s age range. That will give an opportunity for people to first lay eyes on Kelsey Plum as well for her Unrivaled debut. So a lot of debuts going in that game. I think that would have to be my opening night game to watch.
I agree. The Breeze we've already mentioned, they're going to be really exciting. Obviously, you have Paige, but when we are talking about our players to look out for in Unrivaled, you had Damalunga. I had Rickea Jackson. So obviously, naturally excited to see them play. Also, we have to look at the Rose, too, who are going to be playing without Angel Reese this year, but did just win it all. That team had Chelsea Gray, Kalia Copper, Azura Stevens, Sug Sutton, Lexi Hull, and Shakira Austin. So kind of the same, where they're a little bit of a balanced team too, where obviously no one's necessarily a veteran to Unrivaled since it's only the second season, but veterans in the league, you have a couple, as well as some of those young, fresh faces. We talked about Shakira Austin a good amount. Especially when we're thinking of some of the bigs that we're seeing and their development within Unrivaled. Obviously, it's fast gameplay. You also have to be able to handle the ball as well, just because it's a 3v3. So I'm really excited to see her development in it as well. And then obviously Chelsea Gray. Who doesn't love watching Chelsea Gray play? I mean, we always say it. She literally is auntie material, and I love that so much for her. And she's also one of those aunties that will whoop your butt in the backyard if there's a hoop there. So I'm excited to see her, and obviously Ka Copper. I also love Kakopper because our names are similar. She's a little bit cooler than I am, though, but still, nonetheless. But there'll be a one-on-one tournament to be held February 11th, 13th, and 14th. Those 1v1s were really exciting last season as well. And there's going to be some eliminated back-to-backs this season too. Sophia, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think that Unrivaled for so long has prided themselves on being a player-led league. And so you know what the players said? They said that, hey, these back-to-backs are a little too much. So you know what they did? They took them out. And that is really just a reflection on the morals that Unrivaled really stands for. I think that eliminating some of the back-to-backs, like we mentioned, because these rosters aren't terribly big and they just aren't, how do I say? The game is so fast, it's very physical. Back eliminating those back-to-backs, I think, is a great just thing to do, and is also probably a reason why we see the duration of the entire league last longer, with January 5th being the start and that championship game being March 4th. So I know the players are excited about that elimination of back-to-backs, but again, it's just truly what Unrivaled stands for in listening to their players.
Yeah, no, I'm also very excited for all of these, and I love the new additions that they continue having. It's just a way to continue elevating the league, which is what we are most looking forward to, especially when I don't want to say they have necessarily competition, but we're seeing new leagues develop as well. How can you keep it fun, fresh, and exciting? And I feel like Unrivaled has done a really good job, even just from the development of everything on finding ways to be fun, fresh, and exciting, but also really excited in terms of more players that we're looking to see too. I'm excited to see the OGs playing it too with Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. Who doesn't want to watch them play? Obviously, Fee had a really good run in both of them, but had a really good run. But I'm also excited to see who can pop out from the development pool. As a reminder, we had Haley Van Lith, Zaya James, Haley Jones, Emily Angsler, Leticia I'm here.
Me here.
Me here. Thank you. And Michaela Timpson, who will all basically be on standby or on call to join any team that needs them if there is an injury, whatever the case may be. Obviously, working with the Sky. I hope Haley Van Lith gets that first call. Ring, ring, we need you. But really excited to see just some of the youth within that pool be able to possibly get a chance at playing this year too.
Definitely. And just more to your point, Haley Van List, she has international 3-on-3 competition experience. So Unrivaled is right up her alley. For me personally, after covering the Valkyries this last season, I'm excited to see if Leticia Me here gets a call up. She would be someone I am very excited to see. And like I mentioned in an earlier show, there was a game this season where she got the ball on a fast break and her fingers grazed the rim, but she ended up laying it up, but her fingers grazed the rim. So I think there's a good chance she wants to boom it in Unrivaled. I would hope that that is the case, but that development pool I think is a great idea this season. I would be really excited to see who comes out of it for sure.
Yes, the games are on their way. Everybody be patient. They're almost here, but we still have plenty of NCAA to talk about. And obviously, as you guys have seen, there's always WNBA news throughout the off season as well. So make sure that you are tuning in with us, your number one podcast for women's basketball. We'll see you tomorrow.